Hey YouTubers, it's your favorite cat down the road here. So today's video is going to be a little different. I'm not going to do a workout today, but I do want to do something that has been on my heart for a while. I've been debating on whether to put it on my YouTube channel, just because there's so many out there. Like I've seen so many testimonials and stuff. But my testimonial today is about how I met Jesus Christ. And basically, I just want to tell you that, like, I didn't meet God in church, and you don't have to go to church to meet God. If you want to, that's great. They have a great a lot of churches have great communities and like group settings and things that they do for their own people. But I did not take that route. I met Jesus in a deep, dark hole. I was in such a bad depression that I was really ready to end it all. And basically, at that point, I found myself at the bottom of the pit, so to speak, and I had nowhere else to go. And I literally called out for God, and I said, God, if you're real, please send your son to come down and help me and to fix what inside of me, what I can't fix, what I don't even know is what's wrong with me. So how can I fix it? And honestly, it wasn't like that there was some miraculous, like everybody says that they had this calmness come over them and that they just felt better instantly. And for me, it didn't quite happen that way. Honestly, I thought that he had not answered me. I thought that he had, that at that point I was starting to question if God was real. And basically, I had a dream. I don't know, it was like that night or the next night. I had a dream and that Jesus had walked through my house and just basically walked through each room and then left. And to me, it was a sign that he had answered my prayer. And I didn't know why, but a couple days later, that feeling, it did come over me. And I think it was because that was the moment when I was like, you know what? I'm just going to trust God. Just like everybody says, just trust God. Fine. Here it is. I'm laying it out on the table for you, God, because I can't do it. I can't do this anymore. I can't handle this. So at that point, when I finally had given up and given in and been like, just whatever, I'm over it, I'm done. That is when I felt that, like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like inhaling a flower. It was like smelling the most beautiful flower in the world that you've ever smelled, that you could ever imagine smelling. And it was like it just came over me and I was like, wow, like, that was weird. And it didn't occur to me that it was anything like from God. It didn't occur to me that it was like a message from God or anything like that. But I was walking to the bus stop to get my kids, so I stopped and I grabbed my mail out of the mailbox. And the kids got off the bus, and I didn't look twice at the mail. I really never really do. So the kids get off the bus, they get in the car, we head to the house. I start looking through the mail and I see like a letter from Social Security Disability Office. And I'm like, wow, that's strange, because like I had been fighting for my disability a couple years before. But they kept telling me, no, 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 even though, the first time I was in a behavioral institution was when I was 11 years old. So, I should have gotten my disability back then, but I never did. So when I did finally try to apply for my disability, because I had lost 2 or 3 jobs over my mental disorder, like not being able to handle social situations very well, let's put it that way. Basically, this letter said that I had been rewarded my disability and that they would be back paying me for the last few years that I had been fighting for my disability. And at that moment, I knew God had answered my prayer, because my prayers, we were barely scooting by. We were barely getting by. We were barely making rent. We were barely putting food in the house. And we had 3 kids, 3 very young kids. Thank God they were little and they didn't need a lot, because it was very hard back then. Being 21 and having 3 kids at that point, it was just a shock. Like I never really had a chance to process all that. It was a shock to my system when I came to the reality of I'm 21 with 3 kids and I have no idea what I'm doing. So at this point, I'm realizing, okay, God's stepping in now because I've given up. I've given up at this point. I was serious the day that I said, I'm done. I give up. I'm done trying to be this perfect mom and this good wife and this, the perfect everything for everyone. I was over it. I was done. I knew I couldn't do it. I knew that I was defeated at that point. And when I got that letter, it was completely shocking. But at that moment, I realized that God was answering my prayers. And so I kept praying. And I not just praying, like get down on my knees and pray and say, like, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, the Lord's Prayer. And all. I never did any of that. I just literally would sit on my couch and in my mind quietly, sorry, that's my phone keeps going off. I would literally just sit there and talk to God and just like an old friend, as if an old friend were sitting next to me. I would just say, hey, this is what's going on in my life. This is the problems I'm dealing with. If you know any way to help me, please send help my way. Or just be here with me and walk me through it. If you'll just be here with me and tell me what to do to get through it, like, I think I can do this. And so after that, me and God, like, I kind of just had like, almost like an imaginary friend, but like, he's real. Like, I can't even explain to you how real he is. Like, there is no physicality, real, like, physical form. Like, I'm sitting here, like, I'm a physical form. I'm like literally nothing but atoms stuck together and held together by energy and, particles. Like, I'm really nothing. I am nothing. And when this all occurred to me is when I kind of woke up and realized, holy crap, look at everything that's going on around me in the real world. Like, wow, it was so eye-opening and kind of like, in a way, it was like living an exaggerated life. And like everything seemed so vivid after that. Like, he stepped in and he just took over. And Sam kept losing job after job after job after job. And like one of the jobs he lost because our transmission went out and the truck was in the shop for 2 days and nobody would give him a ride to work. Another job he lost because there was like this like weird pedophile dude working there, and Sammy confronted him about the pictures of little girls in the office, and that he got fired for it. So this continued to go on and on and on, and it continued to make my life worse and worse and worse. And like, he was helping me, but it basically, I was taking care of myself. Like, I was taking care of me and the 3 kids and paying all the bills and doing everything at that point. And that's when I stopped, and I hadn't prayed, and I remembered that I hadn't prayed in a while. And so I stopped and I was like, God, please, like, I need stability. I need time to get to know you, because I keep finding myself forgetting to pray and forgetting to talk to you because I'm so busy, like, literally trying to do everything else. And so I prayed for stability. I prayed for Sam to find a job that he could stay at and actually work, and like where we could like work out our issues and problems and all that stuff, and like have the time to do that and not be spending all of our time worrying about where our next meal was coming from or how we were going to pay our next bill. I prayed for my kids to be in a good school system, and I prayed to be close to my mother. I'm not even exaggerating when I say 2 days later, I got a phone call from my stepdad, and he said, does Sammy want a job? At this point, Sammy was working at a place in Sweetwater, so it was about an hour's drive, to and from work. And at this point, I was like, what are you talking about, Dad? Sam, has a job. And he said, yeah, but does he want a real job? And I didn't really know how to answer the question. So I told him, wait for Sammy to get home and I'll talk to him and I'll have him call you. And so as soon as I told Sammy what it was, which it was farming, he was like, yeah, he said, I'll talk to the guy, I'll meet him, I'll have an interview, whatever. And so he agreed to come down here, and he met his boss, and the boss walked him through this house. And this is a huge double wide trailer. It's a huge double wide house. And it, has 2 living rooms, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a huge yard. I mean, like, it's bigger than anything I've ever lived in, and it's nicer than anything I've ever had. And so, like, we get here, and I realized that God literally answered my prayers. All those prayers that I had like answered them in one fell swoop, because the only way Sam could get this job was if he agreed to stay for 20 years or more. So right there's my stability. The house, he pays the utilities and takes care of all that stuff, and it like comes out at the end at tax season or whatever. I don't know how really they handle that. But my kids are in one of the best schools in Texas. Literally, my son has 4 kids in his class. He's one of 4 6th graders in the whole school. I think the whole school altogether, between elementary, middle, and high school, maybe has 100 students, maybe. So they have a lot of one-on-one experience with the teachers. And anyway, like, so I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, and I'm sorry. I just wanted to kind of like reiterate like the fact that like you don't have to go to church, and you don't have to do any weird rituals, or there's no right or wrong way. Just talk to God. Just talk to him. Tell him about the good times and the bad times. Don't just cry out to him when things are bad. When things are good and you could have hit your head on that pole, but somehow you stopped and something happened and you didn't. At those moments when you find yourself in those little tiny moments where something bad could have happened, but it didn't, at those moments is when you should stop and say, hey, thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you, Father. Thank you for not allowing me to, slam my head on that pole or whatever. And the more that I did that, and the more that I talked to him, like, abundance just kept coming. Like they say, I hear a lot of people talk about the law of attraction, and I don't know if that's what basically it is or what, but I can tell you that my life did nothing but get better and get better and get better and get better from then on out. Like, I have had some tough times. I've had some friends that have had some tough times. I've moved people in that had needed a place to stay and hide for a couple of weeks because of some domestic issues with family. I've had lots of chances to help lots of people, and I've done it, and I've done everything that God's told me to do. Even if like I was walking into the grocery store to buy dinner with my last $10, and there was a homeless man there, or a homeless woman or child or whatever. I don't care what color they are. I don't care where they come from. I don't care what, how they got here. The fact is they're hungry and they're sitting there, and it's a person, it's a human. And I've got $10, but I've also got packages of ramen noodles at home. So my kids aren't going to starve, but this man like might go hungry tonight. So I ask, like gently, like I walk over and say, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? Is there anything I can get for you? And just general hospitality for no reason. Like, you don't, like, not expecting anything to come out of it. I'm just trying to do the right thing here. And I found that when I would do things like that, I almost want to say magical things would happen, because that's what it seemed like. It seemed like magic. Like, so I take like this last $10 that I have, for instance, and I buy this man like a sandwich and a drink and, a couple of canned goods that can be, preserved and kept for later. And then I even bought his dog some dog food, I think. So at this point, like, I've spent my whole $10, and it's my last $10. Last $10 I have to my name until next payday, which is fine because all my bills are paid. At this point, like, all my money's spent, but it's all went to bills and everything's taken care of, and I'm not going to lose anything at this point. And so I go in, I get this man food, and we like have a little chat and, have a little hug, and I, say a little prayer with him and tell him like basically what I'm telling you, just like don't worry about it. Like, just talk to God, because if you ask him, like, he'll give it to you. Like, seriously, in all honesty, that's how it happened for me. I asked and I received. And everything, I always hear Christians say, like, ask and you shall receive. Those who have not, ask not. Those who ask not, have not. So on and so forth. There's many different, like, sayings like that. And so I just started asking. And sometimes I wouldn't even ask for myself. Like, a lot of times when I would pray, I would ask for other people. Like, for instance, I would see something, like, I'm getting kind of emotional right now, I know. Like, I would see something on TV that would shock me. Something happened to the community, or to a person in the community, or to a child, or anybody, or an old person, anything. And it would really touch my heart, and it would really, make me feel like if there was something I could do, I would do it. But all I could do was pray. And so that's what I do. That's what I do. I pray. I talk to God. And I tell him all the time, like, how great things are going and how awesome things are. And I pray for guidance, and I pray for knowledge, and I pray for wisdom. Because those are the things that you can take with you. I pray for love in my life. And, when I feel like I've been put into a position where I want to be mean to somebody, like I genuinely want to be mean to this person, I stop and I pray for God to take that away, because I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be a mean. Who looks at you in the face and says, I like to be a mean person? You know what I mean? I like being mean. Nobody says that. I don't think anybody even thinks that. I think it just happens. Like, maybe it does. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just, this is my testimony, and I wanted to tell you how I met God, and that basically, that if you want a relationship with God, just have it. It's there. It's waiting for you. You don't have to do anything special to receive that. All you have to do is talk to God. Just ask him, and you shall receive his word. Like, one of the ways that I get answers is, like, I bought a Bible for myself, and it is an NIV, a New International Version Bible, so it's easier to understand for my age, and my age group, and my era of a generation of people, because the King James Version is a lot like Shakespeare, and it's a lot of thous and these and don'ts, and just things that, like, it's very confusing. So when I would ask a question, I would literally just grab the book and flip it open and start reading. And I was shocked the first time it happened, because the first time that I asked a question, my answer was given to me almost, not even almost, but like literally immediately. I'm standing over by my window to grab my Bible so that I can show you. Like, I literally flipped the book open, and I'd ask God, why did you bring me here? Why did you bring me to this place where I can be? I mean, look at this. It's paradise. Like, I know it looks crummy and like redneckish, but there's nobody around. I'm happy. I'm comfortable. I'm doing what I want to do. And I can let my kids go outside and play and not worry that they're going to be snatched by somebody. And so one of my first prayers when I got this Bible, I just said, God, why in the world did you give this all to me? Why did you, surely it couldn't be because I had prayed enough. Surely I hadn't prayed enough, because I kept telling myself I haven't prayed enough at this point. I haven't prayed enough. I haven't earned this. So why did you bring me here? Why did you do this? And I flipped the book open, and I read literally these words. Therefore, since we have been made right in God's sight by faith, we have peace with God because of what Jesus Christ our Lord has done for us, and because of our faith, because Christ has brought us into this place of undeserved privilege where we now stand, and we confidently and joyfully look forward to sharing in God's glory. And to me, that right there said it all. Like, I did not wonder anymore. I knew at that point God was real. And that was the beginning of my journey. And, I did do a lot of studying on meditation. I did do a lot of studying and research on Reiki healing and opening up my chakras and things of that sort. Um, and I did meditate a lot, and I still do meditate on God's word, because that's what you're supposed to do, is like meditate, be quiet, think about it, like just sit and be still and know, like he says, be still and know I am. And like, I don't really know if that's like a metaphorical term that he used there, or if like a literal term that we're looking at. Like I said, I'm not a preacher. I'm not a religious person. I don't really know much about the Bible. I haven't even read much of it. I just use it when I have to ask a question. I call out to my creator. Like I call him Father or Papa. And I say, Papa, what is this? What is this? Why is this happening? And I flip the book open and there's the answer. And so, I don't, even it's okay to question God. You're more than welcome to question God. I'm not saying you're always going to get an answer, and I'm not saying you're always going to get the answer you want, but I can tell you that he is real and he's out there. And if you want a relationship with him, truly and honestly, like to feel the love and the joy and the happiness that is brought into my life, like I cannot even explain to you in human words, because there are no words. And I hear a lot of people say that, and I heard a lot of people say that. I just never understood it until it happened to me. But there are no words to explain to you how much joy and prosperity and love and care and understanding and the amazing people that he's brought into my life, just being able to answer other people's prayers, it changes you inside. And I think it's not just me. I think a lot of people in this world feel this way, that if we want to change the world and we all think it's screwed up, we all sit here and complain about how screwed up the justice system is, or how screwed up, the welfare system is, or whatever. When in all reality, if we would just come together as a people, look inside of ourselves and realize that we're all one thing. Like, I know you're you and I'm me, and we look different, but in that same moment, in that same thought, in that same instant, in this thought and moment right now, we are all on one planet, 3 planets away from the sun, living, breathing the same air. We all bleed red blood. We all live on this earth. This is one thing, and we are just one small itty bitty thing on it. You look at a pile of ants and you don't see just one little ant. You never focus on one ant. You see the whole pile of ants. And the way that God showed me was in a meditation that I had, was that he just showed me like the earth and just one thing. And that's what I kept getting, was it's one thing. It's one. It's one. One. There are no multiples. It's one thing. And we're just one thing that lives on that one thing. And there's more of those things out there. Because if there wasn't, then what are we? Like an experiment before that he starts making the other things? Obviously not. So I believe what you want to believe. Do what you want to do. Live your life the way you want to live it. Stop pleasing other people. Don't try to be everything for everyone or what they want you to be, because it's never going to work. You're going to do nothing but find yourself in madness and despair. And I promise you, if you would just talk to God, literally, if you would just quietly in your mind, you don't even have to talk out loud, just quietly in your mind, talk to God. You will see changes in your life that you would never believe could happen to you. You will see these things starting to happen. And at that point, you will also stop questioning and just find yourself in a hard time, find yourself in a rock, find yourself between a rock and a hard place, so to speak. Call out to God and watch how quick your situation changes. And I have tried to tell people this since the day it happened to me. And I know that a lot of my friends think I'm nuts. And I know a lot of my friends think that I'm crazy. And so be it. If that's what they want to think, then that's their choice. But I've told everybody that I can, and now I'm telling all of you. And I hope that this video, gets around to at least someone. I hope it helps at least someone out there realize that you don't have to be anything special. You don't have to dress any certain way. I mean, honestly, like, you look at me and you're like, oh yeah, because she looks totally normal, except that she has dreadlocks. But you're wrong. You're wrong. I am not what you think I am. I am, in fact, pretty much everything that people don't think I am. I am a punk rocker. I listen to heavy metal. I do tattoos for a hobby. I do wood burning. I'm very different. I'm very strange. I'm not afraid to put myself out there, and I have no filter. Some people might call that a mental condition, to have no filter and to just like blurt things out and say things. But I feel like telling the truth, that's what I want to do. And I don't care if you like it, and I don't care if they like it, and I don't care if my family likes it. If you don't like it, you can just get happy in the same old pants you got mad in, because I care. Like, I believe in God, and I know that He's real, because I have seen the changes that He has done in my life. And to be honest with you, like, I would never turn back. And if someone was standing right here, right now, and put a gun to my head and said, say you don't believe in God or I'm going to shoot you, I would tell them, go ahead and shoot me, because I will never disown my father, ever. And not in front of you, not in front of anybody. And that's why I'm putting this out here today on my YouTube channel for the whole world to see, because honestly, I want you to know. I want you to know that God's real. And I want you to be able to be saved. And I don't know if you have to go through the whole baptism thing. I did get baptized by choice. Like, I chose to be baptized. I don't know if that's a necessity for reaching the goals that you want to reach. But for me, just having God there and knowing that God's real and having my prayers answered, definitely changed my whole perspective on the world. And it gave me a chance to step back and see the world from other people's perspectives as well. And so I don't think it was ever in any way a bad thing. But I don't go to church because I feel like faith is turning into a show. And that's basically like how I feel. Like, I go to my mom's church and I know that she loves that church, and that's awesome. But going there, it's like going to a concert. And being somebody that grew up with an uncle who played heavy metal, who was constantly at concerts, I can tell you that I don't really like going to that church because it's too loud. It's too much like a concert, and I don't really feel the Holy Spirit there. I ended up going to Wisconsin to visit a friend who was sick at the time, and I went to their church with his mom on a Sunday, and it was a smaller church. It was to me, when I first got there, I thought, oh, it's so cute. They're trying to be like a mega church, but they're just like this little tiny church. And at the same time, like, walking in the building, something, I don't know what it was. Like, it's like I felt somebody hugging me, but nobody was touching me. But I felt that feeling of being hugged and like being embraced and being taken in. And like, there was no, I didn't feel in any way by anyone that went to that church. And there was all kinds of people at this church. I did not feel in any way that anybody looked at me wrong. I did not feel pushed away. I did not feel neglected or like, most people avoid me. And I know it's because of how I look. Most people avoid me. They walk around me. They don't talk to me, whatever. There's no reason to be afraid of me. I probably would never hurt anybody. I do have mental disorders, but like I said, I've been pretty well medicated and taking care of myself and exercising, and doing all the workouts and, you know, all the mental workouts that they want us to do to like keep ourselves in check and make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, to keep ourselves straight up here and healthy up here. Because if you aren't right up here, ain't nothing else in this world gonna be right. I mean, like, I was to a point where like the walls were breathing, like I was on a trip and I wasn't even doing drugs. You know, I mean, I was that depressed, that manic, that like lost and self-loathing and self-hate. Like it was just the most horrible experience I'd had. But meeting God, that is like literally what changed my life. It changed my life. I did become a tattoo artist after that. And a lot of Christian people told me, well, you're never going to go to heaven because you have tattoos and you do tattoos, and that's, you know, that's the devil's work and all this. And the truth is, like, maybe it is, but that's not how I feel. Like, I felt like this is what I was led to because I never really had a meaning or a purpose. Like, I never felt like I had a purpose to be here or to even, you know, like I didn't know what I was here for. I had no meaning to life. But just meeting God, like suddenly, all of a sudden, like things kind of just, they didn't fall apart. Even when it seemed like they were falling apart, things kind of just fell into place, more or less. And life got good. It got good for me, and it can get good for you too. And I know that most of my YouTube fans probably won't even watch this page anymore because of what I'm saying. But I just want you to know that, you know, you can believe whatever you want to believe. And I still love all of you. But know that God's real. And if you want him in your life, just call. Make that call, and he'll be there. Guaranteed. But I gotta go. My mom's calling, so I'll talk to you later. Have a nice day, YouTube family, and I will see you on the next video. Bye, guys.